Today I'm addressing supplemental moves in calisthenics. Usually when it comes to bodyweight training, we have the big six of combat conditioning, of course: push-ups, pull-ups, bridges, handstand push-ups, squats, leg raises. This can also count for lunges. We've got dips and so on. But basically we've got a handful of big meat and potato movements. And for the most part, this should be the lion's share of your workout. Now, we have other exercises that are especially possible now that we've got things like suspension trainers that basically allow us to break down the body and focus in any area that we like. A lot of people like to do this with the arms. So we've got curls, we got tricep extensions, we've got front and rear flies, we've got grip work we can do, calf raises, hamstring curls, and on and on and on and on. The question is, how do you make these all play nice together? Now, it should go for saying you don't necessarily need these. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about how you can basically get the same results without having to resort to these. You can certainly work your biceps plenty without curls, but some people like to put a little bit of extra emphasis. So the big question is, do you do it after you do these? Do you do it before? Or do you do it during? There's pros and cons to each approach. Let's look at these. Before, this is one of the more common ones, the old pre-exhaustion that you hear in the bodyweight world. So for example, you do like your bicep curls on gymnastics rings or TRX or whatever, and after a few sets of that, your biceps are nice, tired, kind of fatigued. So when you do your pull-ups, they're kind of getting hit with double duty. They're getting really smashed. So that way, if you're trying to shore up an area of your body, like you want your biceps to kind of catch up to the rest of you, if you feel like your shoulders, your rear shoulders are not really strong enough, you can use that strategy to help it catch up a little bit. That said though, what it can do is be a little bit detrimental to the main move. So if you do curls first, and then you move on to your pull-ups, what's going on is your lats are not quite getting that high level of fatigue, or your shoulders and grip. So what ends up happening is those muscles don't get the moxie of the workout. What ends up happening with this is a lot of times in like long drawn out workouts is people will do this sort of thing, and then they do pull-ups, and then they got to work their grips separately, they got to work their flies separately, they got to work their biceps separately, and you're adding lots of exercises. What this can do is not only does it make your workout longer and just takes a lot more energy, but because this is the meat and potatoes of your workout, this should compromise most of your exercise. But what ends up happening is the supplemental workouts now are taking up most of the exercise, and these are never going to even come close to the effectiveness right here. So use this strategy sparingly. Don't rely on it too much, because if your supplemental moves are becoming the biggest part of your workout, it's going, I think, in the wrong direction. Now, the strategy I usually endorse is either doing before or after the main moves. So we'll take the same example. You start with your pull-ups. You do your pull-ups. You get 3-4 sets, high fatigue. Then you're like, I want a little more in the biceps. Then you hit your curls. It has a very similar effect, but it doesn't quite have the risk of tiring yourself out too much and getting things kind of lopsided. The other way you can do it, of course, is the during supersetting. One of the best bicep exercises that I really am a fan of do a little curls, then do pull-ups, then curls and pull-ups, and superset back and forth between the two, one set for one set. Fantastic. You do the same with chest flies, grip, calf raises with your squats, and so on and so on. Don't get too hung up on this though. There are lots of ways you can do this. Almost all of it's going to be fine. The key though is make sure that if you choose something like I do curls first, then I do pull-ups, stay on it for at least 4 to 6 weeks. You don't want to be the type where you do one workout where you're doing curls first and then pull-ups, and then after a while you're like, no, I'm not going to do curls, I'm just going to stick with pull-ups, and your routine is all over the place. You want to make sure your routine stays consistent. That way you can measure and know if it's working or if it's just higgly-piggly and it doesn't really matter in the long run. Questions down below. Be fit, live free.